Welcome to DYOPATH Connections. I'm Bill Borbas, and today I'm joined by DYOPATH CEO, Rob Koch. Rob, good morning and welcome to the show.
Bill, thanks for having me. Before we get started, I just want to compliment you on your nice shirt.
Yeah, you too. Apparently we got the memo.
Yeah.
So Rob, today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that's DYOPATH's core values. And these are really near and dear to me. I love them. I love all 5 of them. We're going to be talking about do the right thing and courageous communications and family compassion, relentless passion, and client focus. And so today what I would really like to cover is why have core values and where do these come from? We want to talk maybe more specifically on the core values themselves and really if another business was trying to implement core values, say they don't have this implemented into their day-to-day culture, how they go about it. So why don't we first start out, Rob, why even have core values?
It's a great question, and I'll answer it this way. It's probably one of the most important things we've done is create a set of core values, and one of the most important things I could recommend any business do is create a set of core values that help govern your business and create your culture.
How do you integrate them into the DYOPATH DNA? Like, how does this play out on a day-to-day basis?
Well, so it starts by identifying the core values and then making sure that they're communicated, right? And not just communicated one time, communicated in conversations, communicated in our town hall meetings. We're actually going to roll out, starting next year, a recognition program to our employees that actually leverages recognizes the employees that are epitomizing our core values. So I'm really excited about that as well.
How do core values play into decision making?
Well, they're everything, and especially the difficult decisions, I would say, the core values come into play. So when a really tough decision that I have to make leading the company comes across my desk, I'll look at the core values and I'll say, how does that decision align with our core values? Does it support the core values or does it kind of go against the grain of our core values? And so I use them all the time in making really tough decisions.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to play on that a little bit because I see that on day-to-day with everything we do, whether it's how we interact with each other, how we interact with our vendors, how we interact with our clients. If there's ever a doubt on how to attack a situation, if we can fall back on those core values, and it's our guide.
Absolutely, and with the leadership team too, when we're talking about day-to-day, when day-to-day topics come up and we have healthy conflict, we'll say, well, what do our core value? How would our core values answer this? And we lean on them all the time to help guide our business forward.
So let's just jump into them. Into them. So the first one we're going to talk about is do the right thing. Tell me about do the right thing. What does that mean?
Yeah, so do the right thing. I mean, obviously it's about integrity, it's about character, but at the heart of do the right thing, it's probably the core value. It's about the fundamentals. Without doing the right thing, you really don't have anything else. It's the building blocks for all the other core values to use to build upon.
So you really can't have courageous communications, relentless passion, client focus, family compassion. None of those matter if you don't start out with doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Excellent. And then can you talk to me then about courageous communications? I know this has been this is one that's been around for quite a long time. How does it play out in DYOPATH?
Yeah, you're right. It's been around a long time. It's one of my favorite. I think it's a lot of the individuals and employees' favorites at DYOPATH too, but courageous communication is about having the difficult or tough conversation, and it's not just empowering the individuals to come out and raise their hand and say, hey, I've got an issue, I want to bring it to management's attention and bring the issue up. It's also about the person receiving that communication, right? Having them make the person coming to them feel comfortable that they can actually bring the issue or bring that type of communication forward. And so it's creating kind of this state of vulnerability between two people where there's these levels of trust, where individuals can have these discussions that aren't necessarily comfortable, but do it in a way where they know they're not going to be, it's not going to be held against them, and it's creating an environment where you can have the tough conversations.
And it also, so I've seen this play out not just within the company, but we encourage this even when in our client relationships, and that seems to really help build our partnerships, at least from my perspective of how I've seen it play out.
Absolutely. We ask our clients the tough questions, what can we do better? And sometimes we see them hedging on, well, I don't really want to say this, I don't want to upset you, and we'll dig deep. We'll let them know, hey, we're not going to be able to help improve our service, we're not going to be able to do a better job for you unless you're straightforward with us, and so that usually opens the door to some of those conversations that we can have with our clients as well as our vendors.
Tell me about Relentless Passion. How does that work within the DYOPATH culture?
Yeah, Relentless Passion to me is about winning, right? It is winning and executing and just doing a great job. And that might, for example, be, Bill, you're in our sales organization, and that might mean winning a new logo or winning a new project. For our service folks, it could mean delivering a project that makes our customers super happy, right? And in our administration groups and HR and finance, it's making sure our employees are getting the best tools and services they have so that they can do their job. It's showing up every day and wanting to win every day.
And when we're talking about winning, we're not just talking about DYOPATH winning. We're relentlessly passionate about making our clients win as well.
Absolutely. And part of our sales methodology is understanding, we call it business first, or understanding our clients or our prospects' business and trying to figure out how our solution can make them successful, how we can help them increase their revenues or cut their costs or make them more efficient as well.
And that ties into our next core value we're going to talk about, and that's client focus.
Right. Client focus, that's another one of my favorite core values. And I'd say 90% of businesses have something to do with the client and their core values, because let's just put it out there, right? Without our clients, we don't exist. They are a reason of being. They bring revenue in the door. They allow us to put food on our table. And our employees also, when you look at the other side of this, right? Our employees allow us to sustain our business, right? So the clients bring us the business and the employees allow us to sustain our business. But yeah, having a focus on the client, listening to what they have to say, how we can change our products, how we can bring new services to market, how we can get better, that is a cornerstone of our core values, Bill.
You mentioned employees, and it's kind of a great lead into the last but not least core value, and that would be family compassion. Can you talk about how family compassion fits in?
Right. Family compassion, again, I've had a lot of these where I say they're my favorite. Family compassion is another one of my favorite core values, but I would define that as folks that are happy in their home are also going to be happy and productive when they come to work. And happy, that's kind of vague, but it's making sure that what's going on outside of work is taken care of. So again, that they can add value to the business. And so if someone's struggling at home, they're sick, their family's sick, they need time away, for whatever reason, we're very supportive for those employees. Again, they've got to fix what's going on there before they can make sure that they're productive here. And it also, it's where we define having fun, right? As part of our family core value, family focus core value is this sub, bullet of having fun. And it didn't make it as a 6 core value, but it was really close. If we had 6 core values, fun would be in there, but fun's a big part of family compassion. And again, we want to not take ourselves too seriously at work, and we really try to inject fun and humor into everything we do in our day-to-day business.
It's interesting you bring up fun, and some of I want to point out some of the creativity I've seen with some of the contests that we've had. We are mostly virtual right now because of the current environment, but I've seen some just awesome and fun videos that people have created and shared, and kind of giving a glimpse into each other's lives.
Yeah, we had one of my favorite was the paper airplane contest, where we challenged everyone to make paper airplanes and then measure how far it went. And I think it was Jeff Greikis, one of our engineers, who I just laughed. I laughed and I still laugh when I think about it. when he did his paper airplane, people spent all these time making these like super aerodynamic airplanes and throwing them and getting the tape out and measuring it. And Jeff just took a piece of paper and he crumpled it into a ball and he threw it as hard as he can, and it actually went pretty far. And again, that was to me, that was funny, but it was also fun. And you're right, our these different contests we have, I think, have I guess illustrated that core value for sure.
And it has been fun for sure. Let's do a little bit of a pivot and let's talk about how these came to be. Now, I have to imagine it wasn't something where somebody just walked into a room in an executive leadership meeting and just jotted 5 things down and we're done. I have to imagine it's been a lot more went into it.
Right. I think a lot of businesses check the box, right? So if you look at their websites, they'll say, here's our mission statement, here's our charter, here's our core values, here's our culture. And it's very, I don't know, maybe they've taken it from another business, but I don't necessarily know if all businesses put the same level of effort and work into developing core values and developing their culture. And so when we merged the 2 companies in March, one of the key integration tasks, it was one of the top 10, was creating a set of core values that'll help us define our culture. And so what we did is we wanted to work together, the executive leadership team, for a little while. So I think we spent 3 or 4 months working together, getting to know each other as best as we could. And then we brought in an outside facilitator, and we spent more than a day. We spent a day together in a room or a virtual room via Zoom or WebEx, and then we spent time after that finalizing these. But the process we went through, it was fun. But what we did is the facilitator said, hey, name 2 or 3 people that if you had to go to war or start a new business with, that you would take on this journey with you. So all of us, said, okay, I'm going to take these 2 or 3 people. And then once you had those 2 or 3 people, you had to name 1 or 2 characteristics that you most admired about that person and wrote it down. So now we had 10 people on the executive leadership team times, let's just say 2 people that they had 1 to 3 characteristics. So we had started out with like these 60 characteristics or attributes that we kind of had to boil down to these 5 core values, which was a daunting task because everyone had their favorites. And so there was a lot of courageous communication. There was a lot of healthy conflict.
Relentless passion, probably.
Relentless passion. People were fighting for what they believed in. And it was, and again, I've been part of several businesses, startups in the past and helping define core values, but this by far was the best process that we went through to really ensure everyone had participation, as well as buy-in to the core values that are now, that we just went through.
Say there's a business that does not have clearly defined core values and they are going to start this journey. What tips or wisdom can you impart on them that would help?
I would tell them they need to prioritize this, make this an initiative, make this a project, ensure that it takes place. Again, without core values, it's really hard to define your culture. And without core values and a culture, it's hard to attract employees. It's hard to really make decisions, difficult decisions. It's hard to figure out what clients you want to bring into your business, right? It goes back to the foundation and the building blocks. Without it, you don't have a compass, you don't have a guide, and you kind of maybe would start to wander aimlessly without them. At least that's how I would feel if we didn't have core values that helped us define our culture and who we are. And so what I would say is make it a priority. And again, depending on where you're at in your business life cycle, if you can afford to bring in an outside facilitator or consultant to help you do it, I highly would recommend that, because then you can actually be a participant in creating these core values versus having to facilitate and being less engaged in the process of defining them. And then making sure that they get communicated. So once you've developed them, rolling them out to the organization and doing it, again, not just sticking them on the website and letting them live there until you do the website refresh again, but creating some type of continuous communication and recognition with the core values to make sure everyone in the business is aware of them. They can list them out just like you did, Bill, and give examples on how they're being used every day.
Excellent. And it absolutely is demonstrated every day within the DYOPATH culture. Rob, thank you so much for providing all this information, and this conversation has been a lot of fun. And thank you to our listeners and watchers or viewers for joining DYOPATH Connections. And if you found value in this episode, please subscribe and comment. You can also find DYOPATH on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and of course, DYOPATH.com. Thank you.
Thank you.